Hello and welcome to this, the third in our series of webinars about the Yamaha RIVAGE PM series. We're very honored to have guests from all over the world. I see, looking at the registrations, we have people attending from Canada, US, Mexico, right the way down through Latin America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Russia, India, Japan, Thailand, so many. So welcome to you all. Here in the studio today in the UK is me, Carl Christmas. We also have Atsushi and Tim operating the video equipment. I mean, video operator, that's a job I wouldn't like. It's very complicated, much more difficult than mixing audio. You press button for camera 1, and then you press another button for camera 2. PowerPoint, camera 2. It's a very complicated job. So Tim has got a lot on his hands today, but I mustn't be too cruel to him because he has other talents. He's also a bass player, so he's also learned to play one note at a time on one string. But apart from me in the studio today, of course, we have on my left Mr. Andy Cooper.
Hello, welcome. Yeah, thanks for joining us. And this could well be Carl's last webinar with us now after those comments. Thank you very much. No, great to be with you again. Thanks for joining us. We are talking about RIVAGE PM systems with TWINLANe and Dante, audio networking with the system. Let me just briefly run through our menu for this session. We'll be talking about the console network. High-speed connection between console and DSP engines. We'll be talking about TWINLANE, high-capacity audio networking to bring audio in and out of your DSP. We'll be talking about Dante, high compatibility with many, many other products, small and large. And after that, it will be high time we heard from you. Please type your questions into the Q&A section of Zoom. Send them to us. We'll do our best to answer them. We'll try and stay kind of on topic with the networking. If you do have other questions, though, feel free to ask, but we might just answer them by typing at the end of the webinar. If you were not able to join us the last couple of weeks with the previous webinars, then Carl will tell us how we can catch up with all that information.
Yes, so we had the previous two webinars which covered an introduction to the control surfaces and the whole family. We then took a closer look at the systems, so the control surfaces, the DSP and the I/O. And if you haven't had a chance to see those, they will be archived very shortly on our Yamaha Global YouTube channel. So you'll be able to see those and catch up at your leisure. Following up from these three webinars that we've been doing in the US, we also have a further 3 webinars planned, which are coming from the US. So on 17th of June, we have a webinar on what makes it so easy to use with hints and tips. On the 24th of June, we have what makes it sound so good. So looking at all of the silk and the plugins and the EQ variations, etc. And then sometime in the middle of July, we will have a webinar entitled Making Scenes Without Causing a Drama. So we'll announce that on our social media channels and in the press. In the meantime, there are some, as Andy said, there are some questions which we are not able to answer from here, such as what is the price? For obvious reasons, there are so many different countries and different regions, and the prices will be in the local currencies. So the best way to find that out is to contact either your local district manager or your sales guy, or contact the Yamaha office in your region. Where can I get it from is the other question. And of course, dealers, not all Yamaha dealers will have access to the RIVAGE range because we want to make sure that they give you the customer service that you deserve. And the third question they often ask is, when can I actually get my hands on one to try that out? And again, that will change and differ from country to country, so bear with us. We are attempting to make that accessible to you so long as it's safe for everybody who's involved. Having said all of that, in the last 3 webinars, we went through the families so far. So we looked at the RIVAGE control surfaces, the PM3, PM5, the PM7, and the 2 variants of PM10. We also looked at the new DSP RX and the DSP RX EX, the expanded version, and we looked at the range of existing RPIO and Rio D2 IO units and covered those in detail. But today, it's all about connecting them up It's looking at the control networks, the TWINLANe networks, and the Dante networks, as Andy mentioned. So, Andy, over to you to tell us about how we can make this new ecosystem work together, no matter what type of console control surface you're using.
Indeed, yeah. Let's begin. Let's begin by looking at the console network. So this is your high-speed connection for control and audio between the console and the DSP engine. So every Rivage system benefits from this. How do we connect? We have two Cat5e or Cat6 cables connecting the DSP and the console. They can be up to 100 meters long, and we recommend to use Neutrik Ethercon cables for rugged and reliability. Only one is needed to actually work, so two provide us with redundancy. If anyone gets cut, we get a warning message on the front panel of the DSP and on the screen of the console. Now, this cable carries control data, so the DSP engine knows when you're moving faders or pressing buttons or touching the screen. And level meter data is brought back from the DSP engine to the console to display on the screens and on the surface. When you first connect the devices together, they synchronize their scene memories and library contents, so one device backs up the other one. And we carry clock synchronization, so word clock is transmitted through these cables as well. And of course we have local audio, so the console itself has audio connections like TalkBack and Q and monitor, Omni outputs, some AES, EBU and MY card slots. So all this audio is carried down these cables between console and DSP engine. So you can understand they are a vital part of the system. Sometimes we are asked why not use Dante for this. Well, there are various reasons. This connection is not IP compatible, so you cannot use regular Ethernet switches. And reasons for that are to keep the latency ultra low. We keep it within 12 samples. It can work at 96 kilohertz, 32-bit, and it allows us to have a high data rate, but keeping simple plug and play procedures. So you just connect the cables, you don't need any additional equipment. Now, some customers have needed more than 100 meters distance between the DSP and the console. Most people keep DSP and console in the same location, so they're generally using like less than 10-meter connection. But some people, for various reasons, want to have a longer distance. So you can use some fiber converters. So to go up to 2 kilometers, for example. One device that Yamaha has tested and suggests that can be used is by the company D-Link. It's a DMC 810SC that uses single mode fiber. As long as you have auto negotiation switched off, it will be transparent to the data and can convert it from copper to fiber.
Other options are available, but that's the only one we've tested so far.
That's the one that we've tested and know to work well. Yeah, it's the D-Link DMC 810SC. Yeah, so maybe you want two consoles in your system to have more faders and to have more engineers operating the mix. Well, that's no problem. Just have an extra cable and you make a ring with the Cat5e or Cat6 cables. So a ring for redundancy. And if you want mirror mode, that's two DSP engines with one console. Again, you make a ring with the console network for full redundancy. Maybe you want two consoles with mirror mode. Then of course you can. 4 devices, 4 cables, full redundant ring. Perhaps you are wondering about the PM7. Well, the PM7 is a special console because the DSP is inside the console. So, by itself, it doesn't need the console network. But the console network is still available. You have the connectors on the rear panel. That allows you to add a second console to control the DSP within the PM7. So we can have dual console mode. This picture here shows a PM3 console with the 7, though you could use a PM5 console or a PM10 console to make this system. How's that, Carl? Do you think that's all clear?
I think that's all clear,
networks?
but as we said at the beginning, if you've got any questions, please type them into the Q&A section. We'll try to answer as many as we can as we go along.
Indeed, we shall aim to do that. So shall we go on to talk about TWINLAne?
TWINLAne, the proprietary network designed by Yamaha.
Indeed, yes. And after this, we'll have a little treat, won't we? A little treat from Japan.
Little treat from Japan, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, TWINLAne is a audio network, well, not only audio and control network, which is invented by Yamaha for the RIVAGE PM systems. It can carry 400 channels at 96 kilohertz, 32-bit. It has ultra-low latency of just 12 samples. It's a redundant dual fiber optic ring, and it's mainly used to connect the RPIO racks with the DSP engines. Carries audio and control data between those devices. And we tend to use nitric optical con cables. You can have multi-mode up to 300 meters long or single mode up to 2 kilometers. The maximum ring length is 6 kilometers.
So just to confirm, maximum 2 kilometers between the devices, but the total ring can be no longer than 6 kilometers.
That's right, yeah. Right. Yeah. That's in order to keep the latency low enough, because it takes a little time for light to travel through fiber. Yeah. So there are 2 modules you can choose from, single mode and multi-mode. And each of them can deliver 256 channels to their host device and can carry 256 channels out. Now that channel count does not change according to sample rate. So TWINLAne provides lower latency than IP networks tend to do, and they're plug and play. So again, no need for extra devices like switches or media converters, just the cables to connect them. Let me show you how to connect. Like the console network, TWINLAne uses a redundant ring. So you connect from out to in for every device. Then you choose either a single mode TWINLAne card or a multi-mode TWINLAne card to put in every device, and you put them into HY slot number 1. HY slots are the new high-capacity networking card slots that you find in RIVAGE systems. So make a redundant ring. If you want more devices, then you can add more. You can add up to 8 RPIO units, whether they're the large 622 or the small 222 units. And we can have up to 4 DSP engines in the TWINLAne ring. So you can share your inputs and outputs amongst 4 mixing systems. But what about if 8 RPIO units is not enough for you? Or if perhaps your venue doesn't suit just 1 ring? Then you can add an additional TWINLAne card to your DSP engine and have a second ring. We call that a sub-ring. You use HY slot number 2 in the DSP engine, and then you can connect to an additional 8 RPIO units. So, what is the full capacity of TWINLAne? Well, this diagram shows. Crazy system, isn't it, Carl?
It is.
But let me talk through what we see there.
I was just trying to add them all up.
Yeah. So you do the maths and I'll talk you through. So you've got a main TWINLAne ring with 8 RPIO units. Remember, each RPIO unit can have 96 mic preamps in it. Then we have 4 DSP mixing systems, but each DSP also has a mirror mode DSP. So that's 8 DSP engines in the main ring. Each DSP has 2 consoles here for dual console mode. So you can see we can build a system that has recording, broadcast, front of house, and monitor consoles.
That's fully redundant.
That's right, yeah. And then each DSP mixing system can have its own sub-ring with 8 RPIO units in each.
I've done the maths. I think that's 3,840 input channels, mic
Something like that.
preamps.
Yeah, yeah. Over 3,000 mic preamps we can control, all with Rupert Neve Design Silk.
I wouldn't want to rent or have to rent all the microphones for that.
You could have one mic for every string on every violin, couldn't you?
Yeah, and you can have top and bottom clarinet mics, or
Yeah,
as long as there's no microphone for the banjo, that's the most
right.
important.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A front and back microphone for every member of the choir.
Now you're going too far.
Okay. You get the idea, though. The possibilities are pretty much limitless for what you would ever want to do with an audio system. One other great thing about TWINLANE is that it makes word clock simple for you. So you have one DSP engine, that is the master. All others will be slaves, and all RPIO units will be slaves. So TWINLANE carries the clock synchronization from the master DSP to all the other devices. If you need an external word clock source, then connect it to the master DSP engine. And of course, you could have a backup master as well, particularly if you're using mirror mode.
Why would you want an external clock source, out of interest?
Mainly that would be needed in broadcasting because you need to synchronize with a whole system of video equipment. So an external clock would make sure your audio can be synchronized to your video. That's the main reason. Let me just show you the kind of things we can see on the screen of the console as well when it comes to TWINLANE. So you can assign channels to the TWINLANE network from the console, and the console will warn you whenever there's any connection problem with your cables, and you can check the capacity of the TWINLANE network as well. Let me rig up my little phone camera, and we shall take a look at the screen itself. I'll just get connected.
I think we're going to dim the studio lights so you can see the screen more easily.
Okay, let's do that. Right, I think we're on. So, touch here, setup, and then we see here system config. And here, this is a representation of our DSP engine and the cards that are inside. Here's the console network, 2 consoles with 1 DSP engine. Green means a good redundant connection. Here's the TWINLANE card in slot 1. Let's take a look at slot 1 there, and we can see we have 1 RPIO unit in the system. The green line means a good redundant connection. You see here, we are using 154 out of 400 channels. We've got plenty of capacity. In the DSP engine here, we can see our connection is good. The light quality is excellent. And here's all the channels that we are sending to TWINLANE ring. And here we can see the green dots show I've selected some mix buses, matrix, and stereo outputs to be sent through TWINLANE to the RPIO unit. I'll just close that one down, and then we'll look at the RPIO. Here again, we can see the fiber quality is very good. Here are all the cards that are in the RPIO unit, and you see I have assigned some to transmit to the TWINLANE network so it can be picked up by the DSP engine. And there's the capacity. There we go. There's the warning message you get, ring connection open. And then we see here that there's a red indicating saying the light quality is too low. When you plug it back in.
Which I'm trying to do now.
Okay.
Well, leaning across.
So we see.
There we go.
Yeah, that was yellow to show that it was working, but the ring was broken. And now it's green again. Green means good. We have redundancy in our network. Again.
And I have a warning light now has come up on my console, so I have to go to the screen and close that. There we go. Now we're all back to... there's a couple of questions have come in which might be relevant to this, I've noticed. When using dual control surfaces on one DSP, if one of the Cat5e cables is disconnected or broken, will the system still function fully aside from warning messages?
Yes, it will. Yes. That's the beauty of the redundant ring of the console network. Yes, if one cable is broken, it will not at all affect operation you'll get a warning message, and you'll get a yellow indicator on that side, on that system config page. Other than that, you keep operating as normal. Yes.
One more question. What would you do if you want to connect a console from another manufacturer into the network? Well, why would you want to connect a console from another manufacturer would be my first question, but Dante?
Yeah. Right, yeah, that will be covered by Dante, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. So yes, TWINLANe is a proprietary network for Yamaha RIVAGE systems, and the console network is part of the RIVAGE systems as well. So a console from another manufacturer will not have any control over the RIVAGE system, but Dante is a way to get connected to many other manufacturers' equipment. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Great.
Yeah. Shall we have a little peek into the R&D world in Yamaha headquarters?
I was lucky enough a few weeks ago to go to Japan to the Yamaha headquarters, and I was even more lucky to be allowed to go up to the hallowed 6th floor, which is where the R&D offices are for all of the pro audio, mixing consoles, etc. This is where all of the engineers work on the DSP, the hardware, the networking, throughout the whole series, and have been doing for many years and continue to do so and develop it. And this is an interview with the gentleman called Yuki Furumoto, who is in charge of the TWINLANE network. It's a very short video where he's talking about the considerations he needs to make when designing. But for me, what's most interesting is seeing the office behind the scenes and all the equipment that he uses.
モジュラーシステムであるRIVAGE PM シリーズでは、今までもミラーリングやデュアルコンソールなど複雑なシステムが構成できるようにソフトウェアの安定性を考慮して設計してきました。今回 PM3 や PM5 といった機種を追加するにあたって、より複雑なシステムが構成できるようになります。このような複雑なシステムを構成できるようにするために、拡張性を考慮した通信プロトコルや互換性を考慮したデータフォーマットなどを設計してきました。小さなシステムから大きなシステムまで、より多くのシステムでRIVAGE PM シリーズを使っていただきたいと思います。
Yeah, so a little short behind the scenes look at our R&D offices there in Hamamatsu in Japan. Please continue to keep the questions in. I see them firing in, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. We've done the console network, we've done the TWINLANE network, so let's carry on and discuss the Dante network, Andy.
Indeed, let's do that, yeah. And we'll finish this then also by talking about how to use both together. But first, Dante by itself. I'm sure most of you listening and watching will have experience with Dante, probably because we've been using it in Yamaha CL and QL series mixing systems for a few years now. So probably you are aware that Dante is compatible with IP networking, so we can use regular Ethernet switches and Ethernet hardware. It's highly compatible with many other types of device, and we can connect with literally hundreds of products and carry hundreds of channels through the network. It is the world's most popular professional audio IP network. One of the beauties of Dante is its universal control software, Dante Controller, which can be used on a computer to control and monitor pretty much every type of Dante device that's available. And Dante is compatible with emerging broadcast IP standards such as AES-67 and SMPTE ST2110. So there's a certain amount of future-proofing built in to Dante. Why use Dante? Well, we can connect with hundreds of devices from many other manufacturers, and through the same network we can have control and monitoring of devices. It's expandable, it's redundant, and it's secure networking, particularly if you use the Dante Domain Manager system. And it provides easy multi-track recording with virtual soundcheck capability. So, which module should you use in a RIVAGE system? Well, there are two to choose from. First one is the HY144 D. This provides 144 channels in and out at 96 kilohertz, 32-bit. It's actually capable of 128 flows in and out. Now, a flow in Dante can carry normally between 1 and 4 audio channels. But what 128 flows means is that you can receive audio from up to 128 different transmitting devices. And likewise, you can transmit audio from this card to 128 different devices like amplifier or speaker processors, for example. So it's really powerful. Compare that with a CL5 console, which can handle 64 channels in and out at 48 kilohertz. That has 32 flows. So we're going from 32 up to 128. So that's a huge increase in resource you've got for Dante networking with Rivage. Also, a CL console is able to control up to 8 RIO units for mic preamps. Here, each card here can control up to 24 RIO devices. So not only do we have more audio capacity, we have more capacity for controlling devices as well. The same specifications apply also to the other card, the HY144D SRC. But this card, of course, also has a sampling rate converter. So you can have a Dante network running at 48 kilohertz, for example, and still keep the Rivage system running at 96 kilohertz. It has multiple I/O modes, suitable for a whole range of different applications, depending on type of sample rate or word clocking system you have. So we'll talk through a few examples in a moment. But firstly, to connect all your Dante devices together, if you have more than a handful of devices, then you're going to need a network switch to connect everything. And Yamaha has just the switch for Rivage systems. It is this one, the SWP2. Maybe you're already familiar with the SWP1, which we have been using with CL and QL systems. Well, the SWP2 brings a lot more bandwidth for you. It includes 10 gigabit per second fiber optic converters. You can choose either a single mode fiber module or a multi-mode fiber module. So these switches are really designed for high capacity 96 kilohertz systems where you're using a lot more bandwidth for your audio data.
And it's also interesting to know that people from outside Japan may not be aware. Yamaha have only recently introduced their range of switches into other countries, but for the last 15 years they've been possibly one of the biggest suppliers of network switches in Japan. They're up there with all the other manufacturers. So we're not coming to this new. This is technology that Yamaha has been developing over many, many years.
Yeah, that's right. So it is Yamaha's own switch. It's not a rebadged one from another company, for example. So that's perfect. And also these SWP range of switches are built for rugged use on the road, aren't they? With the nitric ether con connectors and the optical con connectors. And they have presets designed particularly for use with Dante.
Dual power supplies?
You get dual power supply connections, let's say. There's one built in, and then you have an external one with a 24-volt connection there. So let's move on. And where do we put Dante in our Rivage system? You have a few options, actually. You can put a Dante card in any of the HY slots in the back of the DSP engine. So we can see here the DSP engine has 4 slots. In this particular example, there are 2 TWINLANe cards in HY1 and 2, but they could be Dante cards. Then we've got Dante cards in slot 3 and slot 4. Wherever you put your Dante card in the DSP engine, it will provide control of other Dante devices like the RIO units. And you can do your Dante patching and configuring from the console, just like you were able to do with CL and QL series consoles. HY slot number 4 on the DSP is the only one that has the special virtual sound check function, where we can record and play back up to 144 channels. Now, the benefit of having a separate slot for this is that you can switch between having your live audio inputs to your recorded inputs just at the push of a button without having to change any patching menus or patching libraries or anything.
Or maybe include pre-recorded material along with your live.
Yeah, you could do that. Yes. Yeah. If half the band are not present for the sound check, you can play their recording from the computer and still mix it with a bunch of live microphones and live inputs. Yes. Yeah. You can also put a Dante card in the RPIO units. So each RPIO unit has 2 card slots. Use one for TWINLANE and the other one could be used for Dante. That will allow you to take a digital split from all the mic preamps and other inputs, and you can split them through Dante and send them to other consoles, whether they are a Yamaha console or another make that is compatible with Dante. Let's take a look at a few system examples. We'll start with a small system that can be used with just one Dante card. So if you put one card into slot 4, then you can have live inputs and do recording and virtual sound check at the same time. If you are not exceeding 72 inputs from each. So you could have up to 72 inputs from RIO units and control them, and then connect with a range of Dante-equipped speaker processors or amplifiers. And you can do up to 72 tracks of recording and virtual sound check at the same time. So that's your small and simple system. If we expand a little bit, then we're going to need 2 Dante cards. So you could use one card for your device control and your live inputs and outputs running at 96 kilohertz. That could be in any card slot. And then you have HY slot 4 available for virtual sound check, up to 144 channels. Now you could use a sample rate converter card and then operate this at 48 kilohertz to save hard disk space on your computer. So that uses 2 Dante cards to allow a lot more channels in and out. Of course, if you have a PM7, you have just 3 card slots, so you use HY card 3 for your virtual sound check in a PM7. Now, if you want to combine TWINLANE and Dante, then you can create a hybrid system, just like this. If you're happy with Dante to run at 96 kilohertz, then have your DSP engine as the word clock master. That will be the master for TWINLANE, and it can be the master for Dante. So make sure the Dante HY144D card is your preferred master in the Dante network. Then they will share clocking at 96 kilohertz, and you can link with RIO units and RPIO units.
So just to confirm, if you'd correct me or confirm with me, the Rio D2 or the previous generation Rio IO units would work at 48 kilohertz if you're using it with a CL or QL console, but they will work at 96K if you're using them within the TWINLANE network.
That's right, yeah. All RIO units are capable of working at 96 kilohertz, yes. Yeah, so actually my next system example is a kind of dual sample example. Yeah. So the beautiful thing about this HY card with the SRC is that it can work in synchronous mode, where the Dante network is exactly half the sample rate of the TWINLANE network. So you can keep TWINLANE, the RIVAGE system, at 96 kilohertz. You can keep your Dante system at 48 kilohertz, but with no loss of audio channels if you keep the DSP engine as your master for both networks. So Dante is synchronized with TWINLANE in this case, and we get 144 channels in and out of the Dante card. So we can have a 48 kilohertz system with a CL console and we can have a 96 kilohertz system at the same time with TWINLANe and a RIVAGE PM console. Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me now. Thank you.
Great. Now, if you need to have different word clocks between TWINLANe and Dante, then here is an example of that. 2 clock masters. Then you have to use the Dante SRC card in asynchronous mode. When that card is in asynchronous mode, you have 3 choices. You could have, like we see here, just 144 outputs, but no inputs. Or you could have 144 inputs with no outputs. Or you could have 72 in and 72 out. So you can choose the modes. So here we have a live sound system on the left with 96 kilohertz with TWINLANe. That will be mixing the live band, orchestra, choir, and it will be providing a whole load of submixes and splits to the broadcast system. But it will be transmitting them out at 48 kilohertz. Then the broadcast system will need to synchronize to its GPS broadcast clock to be synchronized with all the video. But with that sample rate converter, we can split the clocking domains so the live sound network is independent with its clocking and management from the broadcast network.
You said asynchronous.
Yeah.
Could you explain that a bit?
Asynchronous, not synchronous.
Right.
Not synchronized.
Okay.
The clocks are not synchronized.
My Latin is lacking.
Asynchronous. Yeah. So also that Dante card could be working, in that case, it could be working in AES 67 mode, for example, if that's required by the broadcast system. So there's some versatility there as well.
It's a quick question we can answer here that's come in. Have you like Dante controller, have you a controller for TWINLANe? Dante controller being the software to set this all up.
Right. Not specifically just for TWINLANe, but of course you can use the PM editor on a computer, Mac or Windows version. Download it for free from the Yamaha.com website. The PM editor software then will connect either to the DSP engine or to one of the consoles, and can be used to control and manage the TWINLANe network.
Yep, and that can be uploaded into the. It can work offline and then upload it into the system.
Yeah, you can use it offline, build a virtual system, make some settings, and then transfer it to the real system when you connect.
But you can do it on the screens on the control surfaces.
Yeah. We could take a look. Have you got time to boot up the phone camera again? Camera operator and presenter at the same time. Okay, so let's go back.
You'll be a bass player next.
Steady on. It'll take years of training. So we'll go to the setup menu and system config. Here again we see the DSP. Here are the cards. There's 2 Dante cards in here. This is in slot 3. Let's take a look at slot 3. And here we see I've got a couple of Dante devices. If I touch one, I can see its controls, and then I can access the gain controls of this RIO D2 unit here. Then if I go to Dante setup, this will be familiar to CL and QL console users. You can see ID number, up to 4 consoles for gain control. Secondary port mode, here Dante patch by, bit depth and latency, preferred master and sync to external options are provided there as well. And there's a status monitor.
And this is important because it shows that the user interface is very familiar to current Yamaha users.
Exactly, yeah. It's an easy transition, isn't it, from CL consoles to RIVAGE systems. Over here we see the patch, so Dante input patch, and here we get a nice grid, and we can use these controls down here to scroll around the grid. So there's your input patch, and also we have the Dante output patch there. So channels out of the card to RIO units or to your computer for live recording, for example. So HY4 shows us the same possibility. We can see actually when we've got 2 cards, we can control up to 48 Dante devices there. So that's a quick overview.
Very good. Thank you. Your questions are firing in thick and fast. I think just a reminder that in terms of the online resources that we have a number of locations where you can find resources. We have, of course, our Yamaha.com Pro Audio website where we have self-training, videos, and all the content you'll need to brush up on all of that information. We will also be announcing ongoing all of our training and our technical information, which takes place on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We do regular training updates, short bite-sized information, and Andy has been making a whole series of videos with Tim which cover the Rivage range, much more in-depth information, which will be up on YouTube. Some are already there?
Yeah, some are already there. Yeah,
Yep.
training videos for Rivage PM consoles. Yeah, and particularly one to look forward to in a couple of weeks' time is all the different modes for the HY144D sample rate converter card. Well, I've made a video to talk through in depth all the 5 different choices of modes for that card, when to use which mode. So that should be really helpful.
Yeah, can't wait to see that.
It's riveting.
He said jokingly, and just a reminder, those videos are up on the Yamaha's global YouTube site. Also a reminder before we answer some questions, and they're firing in, thank you for that. We've got 18 more questions to answer. We have the follow-up webinars, which are coming from the US on the 17th of June and the 24th of June, and then back into the UK on the middle of July for the Making Scenes Without Causing a Drama. We'll try and do some, try and improve on some of Andy's jokes or my jokes during that particular series of webinars.
There's no hope.
Would you like to answer some questions, Andy?
I would love to. Yeah,
I've got my computer
Thanks
down
everyone
here.
for showing your interest and writing so many questions. We'll get through as many as we can.
This is the bit where we try to catch Andy out with live questions. There's a question here. Can you confirm the 400 channel mix limitation? Or I think that might be, have we tested the 400 channel mix limitation?
That sounds a little confusing. So there's a 400 channel limitation in the TWINLANE network. So TWINLANE can carry 400 channels in the ring from device to device. So the actual DSP numbers of channels you can process while you're mixing is limited by the DSP engine, of which there are well, three types. There's the DSP R10, which is being replaced now by the DSP RX and the RX EX. You either get 60 mix buses with 24 matrix, or you get 48 mix buses, isn't it? DSP RX has 48 mix buses with 24 matrix. The DSP RX EX has 72 mix buses with 36 matrix. Though the PM7 has 60 mix buses with 36 matrix. So your mix capacity depends on your DSP engine. The channel count of TWINLANE is fixed at 400 channels. Whether you're at 96 kilohertz or 48 kilohertz, it is 400 channels. So you choose from the configuration on the console, you choose where those channels come from, whether they come from a whole load of RPIO units, whether they come from some DSP engines, and so on. I hope that clears up.
Yep, it's the difference between the network and the mixing capacity of the DSPs.
That's right.
Yeah. Good question here. Can we use TWINLANE card on CL series?
That is a good question. Unfortunately not, no. TWINLANE is only part of the Rivage system. So to link Rivage with CL consoles, like we've shown in our system examples, you need to use Dante.
There's a comment here from Jonathan, I think it is. The R&D office looks like a space station. Yeah, it feels like a space station sometimes.
Yeah, it does. It's quite amazing.
Next question. Once the TWINLANE is set up, TWINLANE ring is set up, can you add another product to the ring easily? Will it break the ring enough to mess everything up, is the question.
No, long as you're within the limitation of 8 RPIO units and 4 DSP engines with 4 more for mirror mode redundancy, then there's no problem. If you want to add devices, within that limitation, if you want to add devices as you go along, then you can, and you can add them in any order. So the order of devices around a ring does not have to be the same as the incremental order of the ID numbers. Just make sure each device has a different ID number, from 1 to 8 for the IO units, from 1 to 4 for the DSP engines.
Good question from Peter here. When programming a musical or theatre show, would it be possible to do the programming with 2 consoles, like a PM7 and a PM10, for dual operations, and when the show is running, scaling down to just a PM3, all with the same DSP all the way?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, certainly. That's a really, really good idea, and that's what a number of people are already doing in theaters. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, one DSP engine with 2 consoles for a while for programming for 2 operators at once. Then once all the program is done, take 1 console away. You keep the DSP engine and 1 console. That is absolutely no problem at all.
And we also cover that in some of the previous webinars. And it's worth saying that it doesn't have to be 2 separate consoles like a PM7 and plus a PM10. The PM10, 7, and even the PM5 are designed with dual operators in mind. So if you've got the theatre operator and you've got the sound designer, they can both be working on separate sections of the control surface, which are completely separated with separate headphone mixes, etc. So you can start with a pre-production, production rehearsals, and then drop down to the PM3 to do the tour or the theatre install.
Indeed.
Can we use a Rivage at front of house and a CL for monitoring in the same network? Only Dante then? Is the question.
You could use just Dante, or you could have a hybrid system like we showed earlier, where you have an RPIO unit on stage with TWINLANe to link with the Rivage console, but you put a Dante module in the back of the RPIO, which takes a digital split out from the RPIO to carry to the CL console. So you could choose, have it RPIO with a Dante card in, or use the RIO units, the Dante units, and have Dante only. Of course, when you have a CL console in the system, you'll need to run at 48 kilohertz. So if you really want Rivage to run at 96 kilohertz at the same time, then you should use the TWINLANe option, and the Dante card in the RPIO unit should be the sample rate converter card.
Thank you. Good question here from Harry. If you want to do a multi-track recording, but you have more than 64 channels, what's the best way to record over 64 channels? How easy is it to get the recording back into the desk for virtual sound checks? 2 questions there.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's deal with more than 64 channels. So, yes, the Dante virtual sound card that turns your computer's network interface into a virtual sound card, that does have a limitation of 64 channels at 48 kilohertz. Do remember it is 32 channels at 96 kilohertz. So yes, it does have a limitation. If you want to have more channels, you've got a couple of options. First option is use a dedicated Dante sound card. We have one which we nicknamed the Dante Accelerator. It's called the AIC128D. This card is a PCIe card which can handle 128 channels in and out at 96 kilohertz. If you're using that with a laptop, you will need a PCIe chassis with perhaps a Thunderbolt connection or USB-C connection to your computer, or you use a big tower-type computer with PCIe slots in. So that's one of the best solutions. It has lower latency in and out as well because of it. Another solution is to use more computers. Especially if you're using the kind of pro or full version of Nuendo or Cubase, they have a function called System Link, which uses one audio channel to exactly synchronize 2 or more computers together. So you could have 64 channels on one computer and another 64 on another computer, and they are exactly linked. So that's another solution. Then, yeah, how
easy is it to get the recording back into the desk for virtual sound checks?
Once you've made up the patch for virtual sound check, it is a one-button push. I think I should show you with the camera if I can. Can we switch to the
this is where it gets dangerous.
Camera here again? Yeah. So if we go to the patch menu, which we see here, patch, here's our input patch grid, output patch. Let's move along. We have a recording patch here. If we go to that, then we choose here which channels we want to play back from HY card slot 4. And here we choose which channels we want to record. And then here we choose which channels we want to replace when we do virtual soundcheck mode. So if we want to keep some channels live, maybe the guitarist is playing live and maybe the singer is live, then we can do that so they stay live, but the other channels will be replaced by the virtual soundcheck when I press that button, virtual soundcheck on, and when I confirm. Forgive me, I think I'm back now. So when I went into virtual soundcheck mode,
you turned yourself
I should have
off.
kept my own channel live, shouldn't I? Let's see if we can do that. It's always a risk, isn't it? There we are, Carl and Andy. Now we should stay live when I go to virtual soundcheck. How about that? Am I still live?
Yay.
Good.
Sack the engine.
Yeah. So now we've seen truly how to do it. This is live, isn't it? So virtual soundcheck mode, and then we get a flashy indicator here as well. So we can always see that we are in virtual soundcheck mode. Then to come out of virtual soundcheck mode and to become live again, we do that. Okay, there we go.
Obviously, we didn't realize that.
Forgive my little mistake. This was completely unrehearsed because that question came in live. Yeah.
Here's another question for you. This is from Mohit, I think is our friend from India. When connecting two control surfaces to one DSP, is it possible to limit functionality on the console or give higher priority to a console to create a master or slave at an installation?
Good question. No. So both consoles will have full control of the DSP functions. Both consoles will be able to access all scene memories and all channels. So it really is a dual operator kind of mode.
Are the HY Dante cards switched so they have a Dante card in slot 2 connected to a switch and a Dante card in slot 4 directly to a PC? Is the PC visible to the switch and the rest of the network?
Right.
Do you understand the question?
I think I understand that. In that case, you'll have two separate Dante networks. And that could be a good way to run, actually. So you keep your Dante network for recording separately managed from the Dante network, which could go to lots of other devices. There is no internal link for control between two of the cards, so there'll be no pass-through from one card to another. So if you have two Dante cards and you want them to be visible on the same network, then they must be connected to the same switch or the same network of switches.
Okay, I don't know if you know there's no answer to this question from Shelton. What would be the latency between TWINLAne and Dante?
When you're passing channels from one to another, I don't know an exact answer for that, but it would be very low. So actually within the DSP engine, we have a function called a port-to-port slot bridge. That allows us to transfer audio channels from one network to another without having to pass through a mixing channel. So you can nominate up to 36 inputs from each of the networks, whether it's TWINLAne or Dante, to be passed through the slot bridge and to be grabbed by another of the networks. So it's quite a quick and simple task to do. You have another patch window for port-to-port where you choose which channels go through. But yeah, the latency for that I have not measured at all, but I can't imagine it to be anything significant.
Excellent. Question we've already answered, I believe. How easy it to set up Dante HY cards on the desk for virtual sound check?
Yeah,
So
we've
we've just showed that. And
Yeah,
we sure
yeah.
showed how not to mute yourself in a live situation.
We have, haven't we?
When will the PM editor version 4 be released?
Yeah, that's a good question. The whole package of version 4 should be with us very, very soon. It should be certainly within this month, maybe within a few days, but yeah.
Yeah, and that
With-
version 4 will be at the same time will also give the new version 4 firmware features.
Yeah, so that will be the free upgrade for PM7 to give the PM7 more channels. You get more plugins.
New plugin
more
from
facilities.
Eventide.
Yeah, the new Eventide SP 2016 reverb. Yeah, and a whole load more facilities. Yes.
Question from Steph here. How do you configure the HY144D SRC card? Do you do this on the console or do you need to do this with a computer?
Yeah, to choose the different modes for the sample rate conversion, you need to do it with a computer to change the modes. Look out for my training video that will be on the Yamaha Global YouTube channel soon, because that will show you exactly how to do it and when to choose which mode. So you'll be able to find out really soon. There'll be hopefully clear and concise instructions for you.
Next question. Can you confirm that we cannot control TO head amp and phantom power from the PM series, possibly only audio routing? TO is the rack mount.
That's the TIO 1608D. That's the 2U 16 in 8 out unit that we use with the TF series of consoles. That cannot be controlled by Rivage systems at the moment. Yeah, that is true. Rivage systems can control all RIO units and RIO D2 units. So the RIO 3224D and D2, the RIO 1608D and D2, and the I8D and the R08D. They are the units that Rivage can control.
Okay, another question here from Pontus. How do I send input channels from TWINLANE to Dante? That is, from RPIO to a broadcast mixer or similar.
Yeah, okay. There's a couple of options. One is to put a Dante card in the RPIO unit, slot 2, and then you can set up that card to take a direct split of all the inputs. Or the other option is to use that port-to-port facility that I talked about, where you can transfer up to 36 channels from a TWINLANE ring to a Dante network. But remember, there's a 36-channel limitation on that port-to-port bridging. So if you need more than 36 channels, put a Dante card in slot 2 of your RPIO unit and take a split. Have you got time to show on the screen about that? Shall I do that again?
Yeah, go for it.
Why not?
Whilst Andy's just setting that up, I will answer a question from another viewer, which says, how does Yamaha name the console series? Is there any significant meaning behind the nomenclature, i.e. PM, QL, CL, and TF? Well, my honest answer is I haven't got a clue. But I can tell you that PM stands for Professional Mixer. As for QL, CL, TF, I don't know. You can make up your own mind. You can choose. Andy, are you ready?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So, yeah, the PM range has been going since the 1970s, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of history with
I
it.
have a photograph of Frank Zappa using one, in fact.
Brilliant. We're in the setup menu and system config. Remember where we were before with a TWINLANE ring, HY slot 1. Here's the RPIO unit. If we go there. Now, if I had a card in slot 2, it would appear here. I don't have one, but I can choose a virtual one. It could be a regular Dante card. It could be the Dante SRC card. It could actually be a MADI card. So let's choose a Dante one, because that's the topic of this webinar. We go on, and now it's virtually there. And up here we have a routing mode option. Choose that, and then you can choose one of 2 modes. Maybe it's difficult to see, but mode 1 is input split mode. So all of your inputs to the cards in the RPIO unit will go through the TWINLANE, and they'll also be split and go out through HY card 2, the Dante card, and then you can send them to your CL console. The other option here is fully patchable, so fully flexible patching between TWINLANE and the Dante outputs. So maybe you want to use that one if you want to output a lot of mix buses or matrix buses from Rivage to Dante. Use this one to take a digital split of all your inputs through Dante.
Great.
Okay?
That answers that question. Question from Kieran. Are presets show files stored on the desk or DSP or both?
When your console is online with your DSP engine, then they are stored in both. If the console is offline and you're just editing, then they're stored in the console. And then when you go online to synchronize, you choose whether to copy them from the console to the DSP engine or from the DSP engine to the console. So anyway, it's good to them both for kind of backup. So if your console goes offline, you've still got them in your DSP engine, you can connect a computer to the DSP engine and then keep running with all those scene memories. Or you could swap consoles, like in that theater example where you have different consoles for programming and for the show. So you do all your programming on a big PM10 console, for example. Then all the scene memories are stored in the DSP engine and in the console. You take the PM10 console away, you bring a smaller PM3 console in, you connect it to the DSP engine, synchronize from the DSP to the console, and there all your scenes are transferred into the new console.
Yeah. Okay. I think from the same person that was talking about that is another question from Peter.
Okay.
With virtual sound check from front of house, is it possible to send the same recorded channels to monitors? So both systems can run on the same recording. Is it possible with Dante controller? I know it's possible with Dante controller, but is it possible with the TWINLANE and Rivage consoles?
No, your virtual sound check will go either through Dante or through MADI. We can't use TWINLANE for the virtual sound check because there's no TWINLANE interface for a computer. So MADI isn't networking, so that's sort of out of the question for sharing. So you must use Dante. So if you want to do a virtual sound check from one computer to multiple consoles, then connect the multiple consoles to the same Dante network and then use Dante controller to do the audio patching.
Right, running out of time, but I'll try and get a few more questions in. I think we'll answer this question, but can I use cascade mode, which we don't use anymore, with 2 DSPs to increase the amount of input channels?
Yeah, that's a good question, and true, we don't use cascade mode in Rivage systems. If you have a DSP R10 unit already, perhaps with a PM10 system, then you are limited with 144 input channels. So the solution for you to get more channels is to buy a second DSP engine or buy a new DSP engine, because we have one which is called the DSP RX-EX that provides 288 input channels. So if you like, that is the equivalent of having a cascaded DSP. So use that one. The DSP RX-EX gives you 288 input channels with 72 mix buses and 36 matrix. So that is your solution. If you have the new DSP RX engine, which has 120 input channels, rather than cascading with another DSP engine, you get it fitted with the upgrade kit to upgrade it to DSP RX-EX mode. So the smaller DSP engine can be upgraded to the status of the larger DSP engine. I hope that answers.
It does. Another question here. If we're using one DSP and 2 consoles, do we have full independent control, or are they gain shared?
One DSP, 2 consoles, everything is shared. So because the DSP engine is your mixing engine. So everything is shared. Scene memories are shared, channels are shared, all control settings are shared. If you move a control on one console, you'll see it move on the other one. They are mirrored, if you like.
And I've just had a message in from Brent from over in Hamamatsu. CL consoles stands for Central Logic. Which,
of course it does.
Of course it does. We forgot that. Which
Yeah,
originally came from M7CL, the Central Logic control.
I had the idea of Compact Live console.
Yeah, that was another one. QL is kind of a variation on the CL.
Yeah, quintessential.
Quintessential. And, of course, Rivage is French for river.
Or Riverside, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And TF is touch flow, I think. Touch flow operation.
And I've also just found out from another colleague, Ruben, that TO1608 remote control is possible from version 4, as well as other third-party devices.
Right. I haven't verified that.
Allegedly.
So don't take our word for it right now, because we haven't verified or tested it ourselves here. So let's not.
Two more questions.
Any further.
Two more questions. Yeah, you explained recording using Dante. Does this mean you cannot record on or from TWINLANe?
That's true, yeah. There is no audio interface to a computer for TWINLANe, so you must use Dante.
One more question before we then hand over to typing the remainder. We will stay online with the webinar, and for the remaining few questions, we will type the answers in to you live, so please feel free to stay on the line. Here's a conceptual one. Shelton asks, are there any demo units in the UK? The answer is yes, but as I said at the beginning of the webinar, we're still trying to organize availability and logistics. So get in touch with the UK team, and they will stick you on the list and be very glad to give you a demo as and when they can. Finish off with a slightly off subject. What's the difference between 48 kilohertz and 96 kilohertz? What's the benefit? Just to test you at the end.
Okay, very good. So there are a couple of benefits. One, you could argue that you won't really notice, but another one, maybe you would notice. But it could all depend on the whole system of equipment that you have. Okay, so one difference is latency, and the other difference is frequency. So frequency, 96 kilohertz can more accurately convert from analog audio to digital audio up to a frequency of around, well, half the sample rate. So let's say 45 or so kilohertz, which is more than we can hear, of course. So you can more accurately represent high frequencies of analog audio into digital audio by using 96 kilohertz, but also the whole sample rate conversion DSP process will work faster, so you'll have a lower latency in your system. So that is one of the key benefits, particularly if you are mixing in-ear monitors with experienced musicians. They want to be able to hear their sound instantly when they create it. And yeah, particularly with singers. So the distance between mouth and ear is obviously very short. They're used to hearing instantly. If there's more latency in their monitors, they may feel a little uncomfortable. So using 96 kilohertz will be more comfortable for the musicians. So latency is really the main reason for choosing 96 kilohertz, because most microphone and loudspeaker systems maybe will not handle those higher frequencies so perfectly, and perhaps a venue itself doesn't really suit the listening to frequencies above 18 kilohertz or so anyway. And a lot of our ears, particularly if you're getting to the age of myself and Carl and so
Careful.
on, then our
What are you trying to say?
Our high frequency hearing may not be
no, mine's shot.
What it used to be.
Mine's gone. Yes, I hope that answers that question.
I hope so too.
I think Andy's exhausted now. He's answered lots of questions, but as I said, we will keep the typing windows open. So if we haven't answered your question yet, we will type you the answer. We have to wind it up in terms of what's happening on screen now. So thank you again for attending the webinars. Don't forget there are some more webinars coming from the US over the next couple of weeks, and we look forward to watching those. The other webinars we've done, including this one, will be archived on our YouTube site, and plenty more information online. And we look forward to seeing you very soon, or as soon as possible, face-to-face. It's thank you from me for watching, and from Tim and Atsushi, and apologies for the jokes earlier. Thank you for them.
Yep, and thank you from me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Remind your friends and colleagues, if they missed today, we'll be online again later in the day to reach other time zones. So, and we'll be back in July. So see you again soon.